Juha, a folk hero in various Middle Eastern cultures, is often depicted with a donkey. Many stories involve Juha and his donkey, highlighting his perceived foolishness and unexpected wisdom. A common theme in these tales is Juha's interactions with the donkey and the people around him, often leading to comedic and thought-provoking situations. One day, Juha's friends bet him that if he could spend the entire night in the forest until morning, without wearing warm clothes and without lighting a fire, they would throw him a grand celebration. Juha accepted the challenge and spent the night in the forest. Come morning, he went to inform his friends about the celebration. One of them asked, "The weather in the forest was cold last night. What did you do?" Juha replied, "There was a cabin in the middle of the forest with a fire burning inside. I stood outside it to feel warm from the fire and not be cold." His friend said, "So the reason you endured the cold night was because of the fire's warmth." Juha tried to convince them that the warmth from the fire was weak and that he couldn't have felt its heat while standing outside the cabin. But his friends refused to believe him, and ultimately they decided not to hold the celebration for him. Instead, Juha offered to host a feast himself. The next day, everyone gathered at Juha's house. As noon approached, there was no sign of food. His friends asked, "Why isn't the food ready yet?" Juha replied, "The pot is on the fire, but the water hasn't boiled yet." Curious, his friends went outside to check, only to find the pot hanging from a tree with a single lit candle about a meter beneath it. They were quite puzzled and said, "That candle won't make the pot boil." Juha smiled and replied, "That's true. Just like that flame on the cold night in the forest. It didn't warm me while I was far away from it." During Juha's journey to another city, he grew tired from traveling and sat under a walnut tree. The weather was hot, so he removed his turban from his head. While he was exhausted, his eyes caught a nearby hill and he saw a pumpkin garden there. He raised his head to the sky and said, "My lord, you also sometimes make mistakes in your work. For example, you produce a very small walnut like this from a large walnut tree of this size, while you allow a big pumpkin to grow on the ground." Before Juha finished speaking, a walnut fell from the top of the tree and hit his head, causing him a lot of pain. Juha regretted what he had said and bowed down to the ground in prostration. In the meantime, Juha said, "My lord, forgive me. I didn't understand that there is wisdom behind every action you take. If a pumpkin had fallen on my head instead of a walnut, my head would be torn apart right now." Juha went to the baker to buy bread and saw a large crowd waiting in line. He thought to himself that it wouldn't be his turn soon. Juha considered what he should do and what the trick he might use to get the bread quickly. He loudly shouted, "People, how ignorant you are to stand here in line for bread, and you'll pay for it too, while in the back alley at the house of the sheik, so-and-so, there is a big feast, and food is being served to people for free. Go there and fill your bellies." As soon as the people heard this, they stopped standing in the bread line and ran toward the house he pointed to. Juha calmly approached the bakery to buy bread, but his curiosity was piqued by the crowd's rush. He thought to himself, "Maybe this news is true, and there is really a feast. It would be better for me to go and enjoy this big feast." So Juha started running after the crowd, heading toward the back alley without buying any bread. Juha was standing in the middle of the street, wearing his fine robe and looking at the people. When the people saw him in his new robe, they gathered around him, beginning to examine his new garment. Some of them asked, "Where did you buy this beautiful fabric, Juha?" And a group of people took note of the tailor's address from Juha, while others asked him about the price per meter of the fabric and the cost of tailoring. Juha grew annoyed and tired of the many and varied questions. Since a large crowd had gathered there, he couldn't answer everyone's inquiries. So he fled from them and hurried back home, saying to his wife, "Go and tell the people that Juha is ill and tired. Come and see for yourselves what's wrong." The people gathered in front of Juha's house, asking about his condition and checking on his health. Suddenly, Juha shouted from atop the roof, "People, I am fine, but I had to escape from you because your large crowd and your numerous questions overwhelmed me. Now let everyone know I bought so-and-so meters of fabric from so-and-so, and the tailor so-and-so sewed the robe for me. Now leave me in peace and go away." 3 friends went to Juha's orchard to eat the fruit. One of them was a master, another was a sheikh, and the third was an ordinary man. Juha entered the orchard and saw 3 people eating his fruit. He wanted to fight them, but he realized he was no match for them, so he thought to himself and came up with a trick. Juha turned to the ordinary man and said, "O foolish trespasser, this man is a master and owes us 5 more money units, and he is eating from his grandfather's property. The noble sheikh also has a right to zakat, charitable tax, and the imam's share, so this orchard belongs to them. As for you, by what right are you meddling in my orchard and eating my fruit without permission?" Then he started hitting the ordinary man. Seeing that Juha did not object to their presence, the sheikh and the master also said to the ordinary man, "Juha is right. Why are you eating other people's money without permission?" After Juha struck the ordinary man, he tied his hands and feet, then turned to the sheikh and said, "Sir, of course you are educated enough to know that 1/5 of our property belongs to the masters without any doubt. So if this master takes 1/5 of the orchard's fruit, it is his right. But you have not yet reached the level of i'tihad, independent reasoning, to take the imam's share, and I have already paid the zakat required of me from my own money. So by what right are you eating others' property without their consent?" Seeing that the master felt safe from Juha's objection, he helped him tie the sheikh's hands. After Juha struck the sheikh and took a short rest, he turned to the master. Juha said to the master, "Damn you and your grandfather. First, this orchard's 5 parts are not the right of any master, and even if they are, how do you know that the owner of this orchard has not paid the obligatory zakat? Did your grandfather say to you that you can eat people's property for free?" Then Juha started beating the master, tied his hands and feet, and threw him beside the sheikh and the ordinary man. With this clever trick, he was able to overpower all 3 together. Juha's donkey was very lazy, and he was always mistreating it. Juha kept thinking of a trick to make the donkey walk faster. By chance, Juha passed by a pepper vendor, and his eyes fell on the peppers, which gave him an idea immediately. Juha bought a hot pepper and placed it under the donkey's tail. The spiciness of the pepper annoyed the donkey greatly, and it started sprinting. Juha realized he wouldn't be able to catch the donkey at this speed, so he had to go back to the pepper vendor again. The vendor asked him, "Wasn't that pepper enough?" Juha replied, "Of course. I placed the pepper under the donkey's tail to make it walk faster, but now it's running so fast that no matter how much I run, I can't catch up. I had to come back to you again and buy a hot pepper for myself this time, so I won't fall behind my donkey." There was a thief in Juha's house, busy collecting furniture and household items. Juha woke up from his sleep and waited for a while until the thief finished packing his loot. Just as the thief was about to leave, Juha gathered the remaining furniture, wrapped it in a cloth, and followed the thief out of the house. After passing through several alleys and streets near the square, the thief noticed the sound of footsteps behind him. He turned around and saw Juha behind him. He was greatly surprised and worried that Juha might cause him trouble. The thief asked Juha, "Where are you going?" Juha replied, "Don't worry, I saw you moving furniture, and I just wanted to help you." The thief, who knew Juha very well, was so embarrassed that he threw Juha's furniture and belongings on the ground and ran away in panic. Juha took his donkey to the animal market to sell it. The broker displayed the donkey in front of the traders for sale. One trader grabbed the donkey's tail to examine it, while another looked at its teeth to estimate its age. Suddenly, the donkey kicked the first trader and bit the second trader's hand, causing both traders to run away. The broker came to Juha and said, "The traders won't buy this donkey because of its flaws." Juha replied, "I didn't bring it to sell. I just wanted people to see what I suffer because of this donkey." Juha borrowed a large bowl from his neighbor. The next day, the neighbor came to reclaim the bowl, and Juha placed a small pot inside the bowl. The neighbor, surprised, said to Juha, "I gave you a bowl yesterday, and now I see you giving me an extra pot. You're mistaken." Juha replied, "No, there's no mistake. Your bowl yesterday has given birth to a small pot, and since the bowl belongs to you, the small pot will also be yours." The neighbor was very pleased with this story, took both the bowl and the pot happily, and went on his way. After several days, Juha borrowed the big pot again, but he did not return it to the neighbor. The neighbor then came to Juha's house and asked for the pot. Juha replied, "Your pot was also pregnant, but it died during childbirth, so forget about it." The neighbor protested, "How can a pot die? Why are you saying such nonsense?" Juha answered, "Since you've convinced yourself that the pot gives birth, carries its child, and takes it away, you should also believe that the pot has died, and you should forget about it. Everything that is born also dies." Juha was playing a musical instrument, placing his finger on one of its frets, and striking the strings with a feather without lifting his finger from the fret, producing a single loud sound. People gathered around him and said, "Oh, Juha, what kind of playing is this? Why don't you move your fingers along the frets to create beautiful melodies?" Juha replied, "You are not experts in this art. Those who move their fingers between the frets are looking for the main fret of the instrument, but I, as a music expert, know where the main fret is, and I place my hand exactly over that point." Juha climbed to the top of the mosque's minaret to call the Atan, call to prayer. A beggar from below the minaret shouted up to him, saying, "Come down quickly. I have an urgent matter to discuss with you." Juha descended the stairs, worried, and while coming down, he wondered what could be such an urgent and important matter. When Juha reached the bottom, he asked the beggar, "What do you want to say?" The beggar replied, "Nothing. I am poor. Give me a coin." Juha was very annoyed by the beggar's arrogance and responded, "You must come up with me." Juha then climbed the stairs, with the beggar following behind until they reached the top of the minaret. At the top, Juha asked the beggar, "What did you want?" The beggar replied, "A coin." Juha said, "But I don't have any money." The beggar was surprised and said to him, "Sir, if you don't have any money, why did you make me come all the way up here?" Juha answered, "Just as you made me come down." Juha filled his donkey's bag with pomegranates and went to sell them in the alleys and markets, loudly calling out, "Pomegranates! Fresh pomegranates! Pomegranates!" While the Juha was shouting to sell the pomegranates, the donkey started braying. Juha was very annoyed and fell silent, waiting for the donkey to stop braying so he could resume shouting to sell the pomegranates. When the donkey stopped braying, Juha began shouting again. As soon as Juha started shouting, the donkey brayed once more. Frustrated, Juha lost hope in the donkey. He turned to the donkey angrily and said, "I want to know, who is trying to sell the pomegranates, me or you?" Juha received an invitation to a friend's house for lunch. When he entered, he saw that the guests' shoes were mixed together. and if he placed his new shoe among them, he might accidentally get it swapped. After thinking for a moment, he wrapped his shoe in a handkerchief and tied it around his waist, then sat at the table and started eating with the others. The person sitting next to Juha noticed that Juha had something tied around his waist and asked, "Excuse me, what is this thing you are tying around your waist?" Juha replied, "It's a book." The man asked again, "What kind of book is it, and what does it contain?" Juha answered, "It talks about caution." The man said, "That's nice. Who is the author of the book?" Juha replied, "A shoemaker." News reached Juha that his mother-in-law was washing clothes by the river when she slipped, fell into the water, and has not been found yet. Immediately, Juha went to the riverbank and began searching upstream, where the water comes from. They said to him, "Strange are your ways, Juha. Water doesn't carry anyone upstream. Perhaps it carried her downstream." Juha replied, "You don't know my mother-in-law well. I've lived with her for many years, and all her actions are the opposite. Surely if she fell into the river, she would go upstream." 3 well-known scholars in the world, in the presence of the king, claimed that no other scholar could match their virtues and knowledge. The king highly respected the scholars of his country. When he heard this claim from the 3 scholars, he decided to confront them with his own scholars. He issued a royal decree summoning several scholars of the land to the king's court. If they failed to answer the 3 questions, he would execute them. The soldiers brought some scholars to face the king, among them Juha, who had brought his donkey with him. One of the 3 scholars asked Juha, "Where is the center of the earth?" Juha replied, "Here, where the donkey's stable post is nailed." The scholar asked, "How can you prove that?" Juha said, "If you don't agree with that, then measure it to be sure." The scholar fell silent, compelled to do so. The second scholar asked Juha, "What is the number of stars in the sky?" Juha answered, "The same as the number of hairs on my donkey." The scholar questioned, "How can you prove that?" Juha replied, "If you don't believe it, then count them." The second scholar was convinced and sat down. The third scholar asked Juha, "How many hairs are on my chin?" Juha responded, "The same as the hairs on my donkey's tail." The scholar said, "That's not correct. My beard has more." Juha said, "That can be easily tested. We pluck a hair from the donkey's tail and a hair from your beard. We keep doing this until all hairs are pulled out, and then we'll know who is right." The third scholar also had to fall silent and sit down. The king was very pleased with Juha's answers and rewarded him generously. Juha's neighbor came to his house and said to him, "Excuse me, could you rent me your donkey for 2 or 3 days?" Juha replied, "I swear by your life, one of my friends took my donkey and hasn't returned it to me yet." Meanwhile, as soon as he heard Juha's voice, the donkey started braying in the stable. The neighbor said to Juha, "Bravo! So am I going to eat your donkey if I take it?" Juha responded, "What happened? If the donkey were here, I wouldn't refuse to give it to you." The neighbor said, "Here is the donkey in the stable. I hear its voice now. I don't know whether to believe you or believe the donkey's voice." Juha answered, "I didn't expect that from you. I'm surprised. With your age, how can you not believe my words? I am the old man with the white beard, and you believe the words of this foolish donkey." One winter day, Juha and his wife wanted to have some soup. They prepared a warm, delicious bowl of soup. The wife hurried and took a spoonful, but since the soup was very hot, tears streamed from her eyes. Juha asked her, "Why are you crying?" The wife evaded the question and replied, I remembered that my mother loved soup very much. If she were alive, she would be eating soup with us. Juha said nothing and started eating the soup himself. He scooped a spoonful from the middle of the bowl and ate it, and tears began to flow from his eyes. The wife, mocking, smiled and asked Juha, "Why are you crying, my dear?" Juha replied, "I'm crying because your mother loved you very much and cared about you. Why didn't she take you with her?" One day Juha was craving some grilled meat. He bought 3 kilograms of meat, took it home, and told his wife, "Prepare a delicious barbecue for us." Juha's wife grilled the meat and ate some with her friends. When Juha arrived home at noon, his wife placed rice in front of him, but there was no meat. Juha asked, "What happened to the meat?" His wife was unsure what to say, but her eyes fell on a cat licking the corner of the room. She told Juha, "The cat ate the meat." Juha said nothing. Instead, he took the scale, put the cat on one side, and a 3-kilogram stone on the other. He saw that the cat weighed exactly 3 kilograms, which surprised Juha. He said to his wife, "If this is a cat, then where is the meat? And if this is 3 kilograms of the meat I bought, then where is the cat?"